Hi everyone, Tim Ash from TTS Real Estate. Welcome to episode 9 of the TTS Weekly Recap. I'm proud and honoured to be joined here by the Director of Para Lawyers, Sam Ozturk. He's taken a bit of time out of his day to be with you today, and we're going to ask him all things Section 32. Why don't we start by you telling us a bit about yourself, Sam?
Thanks, Tim. Great to be with you. I've been a solicitor for 10 years. And as you mentioned, I own and operate Para Lawyers. We provide a range of legal services, including property and conveyancing, which is a major area of practice for us.
Yeah, amazing. So, I can honestly say I have referred quite a few clients to yourself. And if anybody out there is thinking about selling their property, needs to get a contract prepared and done properly, Sam is your man, as he will tell you. Well, let's jump straight into it. And let's start with the very first question, Sam. What is a Section 32?
So a Section 32 is a disclosure statement. It's prepared by the vendor's solicitor and it outlines the key details of the property and the transaction. And it's an essential part of any conveyancing transaction.
Okay, fantastic. And that probably leads to my next question. As a prospective purchaser, what should you look out for in a Section 32?
So the key things to look out for is, first of all, look at the certificate of title, see who the owners are, see if there's any restrictions on the title, whether there's an owners corporation, and then have a look at the other disclosure documents that are contained in there, such as, are there any notices on the property, are there any planning restrictions, are there any zoning implications for your purchase.
And that can have a dramatic impact on whether a client would proceed with the property, I would imagine, as well.
Absolutely, and it all depends on the purpose for which you're going to use the property.
Yeah, and just as an example, what type of restrictions can run on a title?
So the most typical restrictions we would see on a title would either be easements or covenants. So easements are generally restrictions on where you can build on the land. So it might be that there are pipes underneath, sewage pipes for example, and you can't put a construction over that easement. So a key thing to look out for, particularly on residential blocks of land, is, are there any constructions over that easement? So compare the actual property with the title that you're looking at. The other way we see restrictions is in the form of covenants. And so these are typically pass on with the land, and it might be restrictions as to the number of dwellings, for example, that you can put on there. So if you're looking at developing a block, a restrictive covenant can be pretty prohibitive to development. So these are the key things that I look out for in title.
Okay, great. And you also mentioned owners corporation. Can you explain how an owners corporation works and what to look out for in the Section 32 in terms of red flags and that type of thing?
So an owners corporation is an entity that governs the common property of the common property owned by the owners corporation, so of the title. The restrictions, the things that you would look out for in the owners corporation certificate, which is contained in the certificate of title, are there any disputes with the owners corporation? Are there any notices issued against the owners corporation? What are the rules of the owners corporation that govern it, and what are the liabilities? So a key thing that we look out for, particularly with apartment purchases, is there cladding issues with the owners corporation. So the common property, which is the outside of an apartment building, if there are cladding issues with it, that also becomes a liability to all the owners of the lots in that owners corporation.
And I imagine whoever owns that apartment could be looking at some pretty hefty levies in the immediate future, so you really want to flag that with the prospective purchaser.
Absolutely. So you'd want to see if there's issues around it. Generally there'd be a building report, for example, and even if those levies haven't been raised yet, they can be raised in the future, so you could be buying a liability.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that pretty much covers it. We really do appreciate your time. Really hope you've gotten something out of this video. I will see you next week. And as I mentioned, Sam Ozturk, Director of Para Lawyers, any property law needs that you may provide, his details will be below in the description of the video. Feel free to reach out. Thanks for your time, guys.